hand.
Got another shirt.
4 inch.
I'll drop my hand.
Showtime, kid.
We used to use wooden sticks for guns when we were kids. And here we are, I'm still a kid when we're doing the movie, except now I got this thing that's like handcrafted Czechoslovakian machine gun.
Okay, step out on the platform.
He said no.
Billy, stand up and get ready. That looks good, Billy. Roll cameras and I will give action, all right? Are you okay, Billy? Okay, now stand by, gentlemen. Stand by. And action!
I'll tell you what, we've probably got some of the best stuntmen in town here, and they're from all different groups, independents. We've got some of Hollywood's finest, dude. Really a good bunch.
Wonderful. I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change nothing.
Cierren mejor la palapa, por favor. Detrás de la grúa que quiera irse para allá.
In?
Come on.
Okay, Jimmy, are you ready?
1 second.
The mortar on the ground over there, there's a mortar up in the road. Alright? Okay, here we go. And like the pre-light, roll cameras. The other way, folks. And action! And that's a cut. That's a cut.
Basically, the concept here was come up with a battle sequence that would outdo anything that's been done.
Close shave. You're very close shave. That's a beautiful shot. Fuck, that was nice. Worked like a charm. That was nice. Whole show's like that.
I remember meeting Kevin Peter Hall for the first time when he came to the studio for his castings, for his body cast, for his head cast, to prepare for the process of creating the Predator. And here is this wonderfully soft-hearted, intelligent, poetic giant of a man.
Hi, Mom. What are you doing
Mom
here?
out there?
Yeah, that's my mom.
That's your mom?
What are you doing here in the middle of Mexico?
It's amazing.
Get home.
Go home.
Where's Dad?
Kevin Peter Hall was our Predator.
Arnold, I'm looking for you, babe.
And he was in Predator too.
Don't mind the master in the background.
He was just a really sweetheart of a guy, you know, big and tall and, you know, and soft and sweet inside.
I need another finger.
Oh.
Thank you.
Kevin Peter Hall was a great kid. He got a lot of work playing monsters because he was 7 feet 6 inches tall.
When you look at Kevin Peter Hall in that wardrobe, makeup, and with that size, and you see him against Arnold, you believe, ooh, Arnie's in trouble. He made it work. Kevin Peter Hall really made the thing work.
That's your lollipop gift. Okay. You can't breathe for 5 hours.
Wait, I gotta take a deep breath.
Oh, quit playing.
Hey, that's that kind of language, sister.
Kevin was an extremely professional actor when it came to the suit and his longevity in it. He complained very little. He probably stayed in the suit. It's hard for me to recollect exactly the time, but I don't remember ever having to lose shots because he couldn't be in the suit any longer.
I am Predator, master of the universe.
What is you?
He would stay in for hours. Fortunately, it was designed in such a way that the head could come on and off very quickly. So he would be in the suit, but we would in fact take the head off between shots and allow as much, air and breathing as possible. He was amazingly professional.
Every part you take on proposes certain kinds of challenges, and being in the suit makes other kind of challenges because you wonder how much of your performance is actually going to come through. Most people think that when you prepare for a role for this, it's mostly just physical. It's mostly just jogging and push-ups and movement, and all of that's very important. Endurance is very important to be inside a suit. It's very hot, and it's really rough work. But there was also a lot of thought into what kind of movement, what kind of planet he came from. You work on the inner things that are going on in the character, just like as you would in any character, in the suit or out of the suit.
He was a ballet dancer, and a martial arts expert. He was probably one of the kindest human beings I've ever met. A gentle giant, he was like a very sweet, kind-hearted human being, and had many good conversations with him, would meet him on auditions and see him on the streets. Hey man, how you doing? I remember Predators, that was my favorite role, and just a really great guy, And I really am sorry that he passed.
I have, just in general, the fondest memories of Kevin. I can't remember working with an actor under duress or more difficult circumstances than Kevin had to deal with in The Predator and the jungles of Palenque, and wearing this incredibly tough suit and create a performance in it. And never remembering a complaint, always a smile, and just a really wonderfully positive experience, and something that more people should have had a chance to have.
Stan creates the outside, and then I'm like the spark, like the life that's inside. Without that, you just have a suit.
In the story, all the gentlemen have camouflage makeup when they hit the jungle. So they have to have the camouflage look, which has to match every day. The wounds.
Well, working with Arnold Schwarzenegger is a pleasure. Consummate professional. Totally prepared. All he asks for you is to be prepared as much as he does. Yes? All he asks you for you is work as hard as he's working.
That's good. Okay. Good. Now, see, that looks like you're diving.
Yeah.
You know where you're going.
Right, okay.
And that's fair.
People look at him as a natural leader. It helps enormously in a movie company if somebody like Arnold walks out there and deals with the water, deals with the mud, deals with the rain, all the mosquitoes, the heat, the whatever, and takes it on like, hey, what are we going to do today? And that attitude spreads. Bang something!
Son of a bitch, I grabbed, of course, exactly the bush. There's all the
one you banged into had to be one of those?
He always has a word for somebody. He always stops and pays attention and finds out what's going on around him with the people, even the peons and the lesser actors.
Arnold is my favorite actor in the whole world. It is true. It is true. It is true. Das is correct.
There are people who go right through a script and just make sure that every decent moment, every good line gets plucked out, and no matter who's got it, it winds up, his agents call up and say, that line, can that get moved? Arnold has never been like that. Arnold sponsors other people. Arnold tries to make the people around him look good and feel good. He's great that way.
So Arnold said to me, John, he goes, I want to meet the writers. I go, okay. He goes, today. I go, okay. Where do you want to meet him? He goes, let's go to your house. I'll meet them in the steam room, right? I says, that sounds like a good idea. So I called up the writers. I said, Arnold wants to meet you today. You better bring your bathing suits or a towel. And we're sitting there in the steam room, Arnold and I, and the guys came in, and they had their yellow pads, and doodly, they were taking notes in the steam room.
Originally, we had envisioned a person who had an intense physicality, but was a little smaller in stature. But I think Arnold's worked out just fine.
What's a little bit of something about who this guy is?
Oh, he's like Joel Silva. He's like really ballsy. He's the top of the line. He's incredible.
You know, there's an accessibility to him. You can talk to him. He doesn't walk away. He doesn't go in his trailer. He offers you something to eat. I remember the Mexican guide that we had. He took his kids out pony riding one day. You think, this guy has gone through and known things I never will. And so you assume an intimidation factor. But in fact, it's not there with him. He's very open. He's very accessible. And he's a lot of fun. He sits there chomping a cigar. He tells jokes.
Where's my stogie?
Certainly, a lot of cigar smoking was put in the script because you could never find Arnold without a cigar in his hand anyway.
John, did we do the getting up or about? Arnold, of course, had these giant stogies he's smoking. I, being the athlete that I am and the clean living person that I am, never in a million years would let tobacco touch my lips. Absolutely not. But I sat there in that chair getting a whiff of this great this aroma of this stogie. And Arnold eventually, golly, you want one? Sure, why not? I was hooked. It was all over. After that, I had a stogie or two. And within a few days, Arnold had a box of stogies delivered to me, you know, and got me hooked. And shame on you, Arnold.
See, my weapons are being used against me. Okay.
Well, it's a living comic book. You just look at him. He's a man mountain. The pages out of a well-inked strip, just poof, walking. There he is. He walks in the room.
I enjoy working with Arnold and Joel because it's really a family.
And I'm working with a great team of guys, and we're having a good time down there.
Probably the most exciting thing about working in Palenque was the huge bullfrogs that ended up in my shower in my hotel room. Talk about an obstacle to overcome. And I knew that it was Arnold. And I stepped out of my room and I said, get the guys, come in here. I'm not standing for this practical joke. And they got a pillowcase and got all these bullfrogs, huge bullfrogs, out of my shower and put them into that pillowcase. And I got the key to Arnold's room. I don't remember how I finagled it, but somehow I got the key to his room and I had him take those bullfrogs, and Shane was going, don't do this, you don't want to do this. And I said, just you do what I'm not letting him get away with this. And Shane was going, please, Stan, don't do this. Just let's bring those bullfrogs. And we went into his room and his wife was visiting, Maria. I had to put those bullfrogs into the base of his bed, under those covers. And then the next morning, we got up, and I was driving to the set with Arnold, and neither one of us said a word about that evening. It was a silence. I wasn't going to talk about the frogs that were in my shower, and he wasn't going to talk about the frogs that were in his bed. You know, it's interesting. Years later, I was on talk show and talking about The Predator, and then Arnold was going to be on the next night. And then I found something out, and this was years and years after The Predator. And I told the story about the frogs. And the next night Arnold was on. And he said, Stan, I didn't do it. And I found out 10 years later that Shane Mahan and my guys,
these are the finest monster makers in the world.
The guys who worked for me had put the frogs into my shower. And I knew it was him, and when I went outside and I said, let's go, you're getting those frogs, we're going to Arnold's, they didn't tell me that it was them. My own guys had done it, and 10 years later I found out that Arnold was innocent, and the real culprits were the guys from Stan Winston Studio. So that's the toughest thing about working in the jungles of Palenque.
Jesse and I never talked politics. I had no clue that this guy would ever, go on to become such a national figure.
I don't want to get stereotyped and put into just one bracket of being this or that. In fact, I'm already signed, sealed, and delivered. I'm going back to LA and taking a few weeks. So I'm going back to Minneapolis, my home, taking a few weeks off and get with my kids again. And then I'm going to LA and I'm doing a children's show, which my agent feels will be excellent for my career to show the versatility going from wrestling to combat to a kids show.
I was really thrilled to learn that when he went into politics. Because we could tell he was a really bright guy. He was a lot more than just some former Green Beret or something.
So you ultimately want a real broad range of stuff?
I would like to. I think I'm that good. And I think I can play anything.
If I can remember correctly, no matter how much I would do, no matter how much Arnold would do, whether it was training, drinking, smoking stogies, Jesse Ventura would do more. If the people of Minnesota really knew about this stogie deal, we might have a few stogies sort of around, around the governor's mansion, hidden here and there. I really don't understand why that's not on the flag in Minnesota right now.
Being the wrestler that I am, I like my situation of coming into the movies at this point in time because it's going to stop me from becoming like Hulk Hogan. Now, granted, Hulk Hogan's a tremendous wrestling personality, but that's all he's ever going to be. He's Hulk Hogan for life. I still feel Jesse Ventura can come out and be Sergeant Blaine. Jesse Ventura can come out and be an astronaut. Jesse Ventura can out and be this, be that, a cowboy, or anything like that. But, do you want to know what my ultimate goal is in Hollywood? I would love to do a film with Robert De Niro. I'm a big Robert De Niro fan, and I would really enjoy doing something with him sometime. So if he's out there listening, I'm available, De Niro.
idea is that once someone has the idea, everyone else says, oh, why didn't we think of that?
It was a spec script. Thomas Brothers, two first-time writers at the time, basically couldn't get anybody to read the script, didn't have an agent, slipped it under a door of an executive, Michael Levy, at Fox. Michael read the script, shared it with me and the rest of us. Larry Gordon was head of the studio at the time, bought the script, okayed the script going out to Arnold Schwarzenegger. I went and got John McTiernan involved in the process. I had seen his picture. We needed a fresh voice. And Larry Gordon invited Joel Silver to come on and produce it.
Joel was the hands-on producer on set. To this day, he still maintains an almost overwhelming presence on the set. A lot of producers, they sort of sit back, they get a line producer, they serve as a sort of creative liaison between the studio and the film, but they don't get their hands dirty. Joel always has gotten his hands dirty by really getting into the muck of the film.
Let's lock off this, get a hi-hat or something on that one. I was very happy when they offered it to me. I wanted to do an old-fashioned popcorn movie. And that's what this is. It's meant to be entertainment, and it comes at it from a direction that I had some experience in, which is out of suspense.
John McTiernan is a really wonderful action director. He has an ability to take a script and infuse it with both a sense of energy but great storytelling. And so he's a really wonderful storyteller, which is really what you want in a director.
John McTiernan has a tremendous ability to visualize the film in his head and just go get that film. Not waste any time, not bullshit around.
John McTiernan is an actor's director. It's not just some, director who's just trying to make pretty pictures. He has a motivation for why this particular scene should be this way and what your character's motivation should be.
He's very sure of himself.
You guys are all around. I'm going to have to be careful the next couple days, aren't I?
Kind of miserable and awful, and I got bee stung, and I got this and that.
So their rehearsal period was, see you guys, you report to the truck in the morning, we're driving you 20 miles out, and you walk back.
Gary really, in my mind, made a lot of things work that weren't in script necessarily, but we had a real feeling and a sense of camaraderie and what we were after, and also a sense of the how to do.
With a really realistic selection of guns and a really good weapons advisor and a good military advisor, it lent an additional sense of realism.
We had to take in 1 week and teach these guys how to make themselves look like combat veteran special forces soldiers.
Jesse was a Navy SEAL. He didn't need the training. He cakewalked through the training because he's such a tough guy,
I'll put it this way, I wouldn't want to go in real with these guys, but I'll definitely do a film with them.
I know Jesse voiced that opinion a couple of times.
I don't agree with that.
First morning I was there, Arnold says, hey, we're going to go to the gym and work out.
There was a subtle sort of competition, I think.
Get up at 4 in the morning because you want that pump, but you don't want the other guys to see you getting that pump, because when you walk onto the set, and you look that good, it's got to be natural. You can't work out that hard. Nobody does. God just blessed you,
And so at 5:30 in the morning, Arnold's knocking on my door, going, get up, we're going down to work out.
And they would run for an hour and a half. Just run the hills of Puerto Vallarta.
So I get up, go downstairs with them to work out, and they proceed to torture me.
They work out for another 20, 30 minutes. They eat breakfast and get on the bus and go up into the interior.
Arnold's going, more reps, more. You know what I mean? He goes, what are you, a wussy? Pick up that weight.
After we finished work, they would come back, I'm not exaggerating, and run another hour and work out for another hour, eat, and then go to bed.
Every once in a while, you'd walk in there, of course, and there'd be another guy or two guys over in the corner pushing some iron, and, I did a couple of times. I walked in there and said hi to them and looked around and said, what are you guys doing? And wow, man, you guys are really working hard, and walk out, go find a place to get some coffee, wait till they're gone, and then go in after they're gone, Give nothing away.
Well, 2 hours later, I couldn't move. I was completely unable, stiff, whatever, but not been more pain in my life. Arnold was taking great pleasure from this.
The biggest thrill for me was when we hit wardrobe, and I happened to view Arnold's wardrobe tape, and when my arms taped out 1 inch bigger than Mr. Olympia's, that made Jesse Ventura feel pretty good.
Well, I'm very happy about that, because then my joke worked. because I told the wardrobe department they should tell him that, so I can bet him a bottle of champagne afterwards when he comes to the gym. He came to the gym 2 days later and he says, "You know something, Arnold? We should measure our arms. Who has bigger arms?" I said, "Of course we should." I said, "Let's bet a bottle of champagne." He says, "Of course we should." And then we measured it and my arm was 3 inches bigger than his.
What the fuck?
And he lost a bottle of champagne. So, I mean, you know, the psycho trips, they work on everybody, on bodybuilders and also on wrestlers. It was good.
Then when those glasses come down, you're real close to the camera, actually.
Okay.
We have a lovely little guy who comes to us from the optical house in New York. He takes measurements of everything, and the angles and this and that, and he's got a protractor alongside the camera and a surveyor's transit, and he checks absolutely everything and says, "No, you can't shoot that, you can't shoot that." And he runs up and measures this and measures that. And 3 hours later he says, "All right, maybe you can try it."
And that requires sometimes 6 hours to shoot 1 3-second cut.
We had to go off and start shooting the movie, and they were late turning out the Predator, and we all were desperately anticipating, it's coming, it's here today, no, tomorrow. Finally, the day it arrived, and they took the crowbars and pried it open and opened it and lifted it out of the box, and we all looked at each other and said, "Oh, are we in trouble?"
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if you shoot it from a low angle up, it would look bigger, you know? It just was kind of like underwhelming.
The original Predator was not the Predator that you saw. The original Predator was a red figure with one eye in the middle on kind of stilts that on wires and so on.
I just remember standing there and looking across through the trees, and there's this giant red thing coming like this. Like just exactly what we had not been trying not to have, because it was impossible to move and it was terrible. I shot a shot, 2 shots with the damn thing, and just sent it back to the studio saying, "You really don't want us to continue with this, do you?" And they looked at it and said, "Nope, wait, stop."
We knew the production was going to have to shut down when we ran out of money. And it was one of those fortunate things that Larry Gordon was on board as a producer, because he was there to protect the financial integrity of the picture. In other words, he was there to beat somebody up to get us more money, which wasn't going to happen for a period of time because it needed Leonard Goldberg to come, and he took over the studio. He followed Larry in. He saw the movie and saw the potential of the movie, saw an hour of the movie, and okayed the funds to finish the picture.
A break in shooting like that is actually a tremendous luxury. It's wonderful. Woody Allen now does it as part of his production process. He shoots most of the movie and then goes and edits it. And then he goes and finishes, but also reshoots the things that, now that he's had a chance to work with it in the cutting room, to see what he can do better and to adjust it. And what I wanted to do was put the movie together first and then go back. It's by no means a calamity. It's actually it's an advantage.
It gave us an opportunity to see the picture. And, you know, I think that really affected the end of the movie, because I think it was made bigger and more exciting and spectacular. And it's always great to be able to shoot the third act of a movie, knowing what the strengths and weaknesses of the first 2 acts are.
And then we went to Stan Winston. It was wonderful.
You're probably wondering why we brought you here today. Basically, what we're doing is making monsters. That's what we do, and we do it well.
Stan had just done this before, and he knew how to go about it, and it was just a very different experience working with it.
Joel Silver contacted me, and then I met with John McTiernan, and if I recollect, I believe it was Arnold that recommended that they contact me, because, of course, Arnold and I had worked together on The Terminator and have remained very close friends ever since.
What the hell are you?
The creature design evolved given the springboard of the Rastafarian warrior that I had seen the drawing of that Joel had on an airplane flying to Japan with Jim Cameron sitting next to me. And while I was on this airplane flight to Japan, I was sketching concepts for The Predator. Jim Cameron looked over to me and says, "You know, I always wanted to see something with mandibles." And I went, "Oh, really? Well, so what?"
I think Stan Winston gave The Predator a great look. He came up with that unique hair design, came up with those jowls. He really created an indelible monster.
He was going to be a warrior and a humanoid, muscled out warrior. And guys in the studio had known of Kevin Peter Hall and was just finishing suit work on Harry and the Hendersons at the exact same time. And I believe Kevin was somewhere on the 7-foot range. Immediately the concept became, let's get Kevin, who can in fact work in a suit, who is an actor, who can create a performance, can create a character. And here is a guy who is huge. And next to Arnold would make Arnold look like a peanut.
I saw them go by with this big mattress. They went into Kevin's room, so they could have 2 big queen-size beds, and he just slept across both of them because he was so big.
And he wasn't just some big guy in costume. I mean, the waist, totally brilliant.
The design of this Predator is really wonderful, and the concept of the character and the hunting down Arnold is fun. So there's already the incentive to get into it because, you're going to be going after Arnold Schwarzenegger. But on top of all of that, there's creating a personality that the audience can relate to, because without it, then it's just something from somewhere else. Whereas this is a real conflict, and it's real important in this movie that the audience get a sense of who Arnold is and a sense of this evil force that is chasing him down.
Because he suffered so long in the damn suit, I had to make sure that he got his face actually on screen.
What the? I've always wanted to play a heavy, and this is an excellent heavy.
It kills for pleasure.
He was skinned alive!
It hunts for sport.
It's killing us one at a time.
But this time,
If it bleeds, we can kill it.
it's picked the wrong man to hunt. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Predator. Rated R. Now playing in theaters everywhere.
I saw it in the theater in Westwood opening night premiere, and it was like people were cheering.
People loved the movie, and it did really well, and it had a really big opening night. It was the #1 film that weekend.
My mother walked out. Now, and it's funny, my mother didn't walk out during all the pussy jokes. She was not offended, but she couldn't. When my character ran into the jungle and she knew that I was about to get killed, she couldn't watch. She had to leave.
I believe the original budget of the movie was $18 million. When you look back, that's not a lot of money because an action movie today, if you can do it for $50 million, you've done a great job.
The official tab on this movie is that it has lost more than its original cost.
Well, I got to be honest. I got a net points check about 2 weeks ago from the studio on the movie, so it seemingly has broke even.
We had no idea that the film would